Hi, my name's Penny. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my Spookathon TBR. So the Spookathon is a readathon that goes from the 16th to the 22nd of October. That's a whole week. And there's 5 challenges. So you can read 5 books that meet those challenges, or if you're really clever, 1 book that meets all those challenges. So I've picked out 5 books that I'm going to have a go at reading. I doubt that I will read 5 books, even though I do have a good week for reading. But if I can't make 5, then I'll just make the first couple cover the rest of them. I'm going to talk about the challenges in reverse order because that makes a bit more sense for me, the reasons for which will hopefully become apparent. So the first challenge is to read a book with a spooky setting. For this one, I'm going to read Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Seanan Macguire. I've got this as a library book on my phone. So Down Among the Sticks and Bones is the prequel to Through Every Hearted Doorway, is that what it was called? Anyway, it's quite a short book, but it's about this halfway house for children who've been on adventures to other worlds and now they've come back to our ordinary world and they're finding it kind of difficult to adjust and they're not that happy about being back. And then Down Among the Sticks and Bones is a story about a couple of the characters from that story and the world that they went to and what that was like. And from what I understand, that's kind of like a mad scientist laboratory and a castle with vampires, so it's a spooky setting. I think that will cover it. It's also a pretty short book, so I should be able to read it. And as well, I got it out from the library. It's going to return itself in a few days, so I really have to read it. Or otherwise, I'm going to end up back on the queue and waiting forever, and I don't want to wait. So the next challenge is to read a book with orange on the cover. For this, I'm going to go with another library book that's about to return itself, because I get myself into this position much more often than I should. But that is One Dark Throne by Kadare Blake. I think that's how you say her name. Sorry if it's not. But this is the second book in the series. The first one was Three Dark Crowns. It's about kind of this witchy world where there's these different groups with different magical powers. So there's one group that has like animal companions, one that can withstand poison, and the third one which have elemental powers. And there's kind of a queen from each one, and now that they've come of age they have to fight to the death so that they can decide which one actually gets the throne. I had like a mixed reaction to the first one. I kind of was frustrated with the writing, but then somehow got really engaged and ended up really loving it. So I'm kind of excited but a bit scared for the second book. As I said, it's returning itself to the library and I do not want to wait in the queue again, so I'm going to get it read. Now the next challenge is to read a book based on a childhood fear. If I don't get any further, then I will argue that I have a fear of witches. In fact, when I was a child, about 4, I got my tonsils out and I ended up hiding under the hospital bed because I thought that I had seen a witch in the car park. So witches is definitely one of my childhood fears. But if I do get further, then I have another book that I want to read, and this one is about a fear of ghosts. So when I was a child, my nana and granddad lived out in this old farmhouse, and all of the wardrobes just had like curtains across them rather than actual doors, and I was convinced that all of those cupboards and wardrobes had ghosts in them, and whenever I would have to sleep in one of those rooms I'd just be terrified the whole time. I wouldn't want to close my eyes because I want to keep an eye on those wardrobes. So ghosts is something I'm afraid of, and the book that I'm thinking of reading related to that is Touch by Michelle Sagara. Look, I actually have this one here, although it's also a library book. So this is the second book in the Queen of the Dead series. I've been trying to do a real big push to finish a lot of the series I have in progress. So I read the first book quite a while ago. I don't want to read the first book again, but I did want to continue with the series. So from what I remember, there's a main character who has the ability to talk with the dead, with ghosts and potentially control them. Yeah, I don't remember much, so I'm hoping that there'll be a bit of a recap in the beginning of the book, or that once I start reading it I'll remember it. But from what I remember, the last book was a pretty quick read, so I should be able to get through this within the week. So then the next challenge is to read a book with a spooky word in the title. Of course, I could go with Down Among the Sticks and Bones, because bones is a pretty spooky word, and I could always also go with One Dark Throne, because dark is a spooky word. But if I get to read more books, then I will probably go with this one, which is Yamada Monogatari, I can't say that, Demon Hunter by Richard Parkes. So this is a book that I got in a box of books I got for donating money at some point to some charity. I've had it a long time. I haven't read it. My understanding is that it's an anthology of short stories rather than a story in itself, which has kind of always put me off because I don't really like anthologies. But it might work if I just read, like, over the week, one short story every now and then maybe I'll actually get through this. All I really know about it is that it's set in Japan, historical Japan, possibly there's samurais, and he kills demons. I don't know, we'll see. So then the last challenge, or the first challenge if you're doing things in a sensible order unlike me, is to read a thriller. So for that challenge I've got Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I don't really know that much about this book. I read Gone Girl a while ago and I thought it was enjoyable, not necessarily my favouriteest book ever, but a fun read, really easy to get into. I hated the characters. But anyway, that's Gone Girl. This, I don't know, it's kind of short. I got it for like 50 cents once upon a time, so I'm keen to give it a read. I think what you'll find is that I have a huge amount of books on my shelves that I got for cheap or for free, and I've been trying to make myself actually work through them, so any excuse to read them is a good excuse, and a readathon always gives you good excuses for reading. So that's my Spookathon TBR. Not sure how many of those I'll get through, but I'm gonna try my best. Let me know if you have any thoughts about those books, if I should really make an effort to get through any in particular, or anything you would like to comment. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you next time.